All right, so Zok the Mishnah, Lamed Tesamad Aleph. It's a relatively easy block till the end of Amud Beis. We'll talk about tonight is about a shayt of a cotton, chayra shayt of a cotton. Them goring others. So let's see. Shar shal pikeach. A shar of a pikeach shenogach shar shal chayra shayt of a cotton. Right. So a shar of a pikeach that gores a shar of a chayra shayt of a cotton chayiv. Right. Hold on, I'm sorry. Can I be heard now? Somebody say something?
Yes.
No, I'm trying to get it off. I'm trying to get it off. I'm trying to get it onto my Bluetooth here. Still? Okay, I don't know. Anyways, so a shar of a pikeach, meaning a regular smart person, that gored a shar of a chayra shayt and cotton, he's chayiv. Right? Because what's the difference who the recipient is? Right? You're a bar chiyuva. Right? But a chayra shayt of a cotton, shenago shar shal pikeach, potter. But a chayrish and a shayt and cotton that gored a pikeach, that's potter. Right? Because again, they're potter from all mitzvahs. Shar shal chayrish, shayt of a cotton, shenogach. If you have a shar of a chayrish shayt of a cotton that gores, and now you got to do something with this. Meaning, if you have these people that are irresponsible in charge of a cow that's going around goring people, so you have to do something about it, right? So Bezdin Mamidin Lan Apotropos, Bezdin puts an Apotropos. Mamidin Lan B'fnei Apotropos, and they can say Eidos in front of the Apotropos, which we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see if this is referring to a shar tam or is this referring to a shar muad. Right? But what it says that Bezdin will appoint an apotropos, and he's going to say Eidos in front of the apotropos. Let's say the cheresh got better. Nishtafel hashoita, and the shoita got also better. The higdal hakotan, and the kotan grew up. Chazal tamusai. Then the shar goes back to being a tam. Dibur Meir. Which is a very interesting thing, which we'll see in the rest of today's daf a little later, and in tomorrow's daf as the Shem, which is that when a shar becomes a tam in one person's amuad and one person's rishus, so it could be that the reason why he was a muad is because the person didn't properly watch him, didn't properly guard him, etc., etc. But when it goes to somebody else's rishus, so now maybe change of scenery and or somebody else more responsible will make it behave, right? Which then, so Rameir is going with that opinion. So once the cheresh shayt and cotton get better or get older, and it goes back under their jurisdiction, it's going to go back to being a tam. This also has to play in. Remember, we said that there's a machlokes about 10-15 blot ago. We said there's a machlokes whether a muad has to do with the animal or a muad has to do with the owner. Right? Meaning, is it the owner in charge of the animal? So this Gemara, if you hold that it has to do, if that when it changes rishus, goes back to tam, then the chayr has to be a din in the owner. Okay, but we'll have to see in that. Anyway, so Rameir holds when it goes back to his rishus, it loses its status of mu and it goes back to tam. He says it is in its regular chazal. Last unrelated case, shara tztadim, ain't a chayiv. A shtar tztadim, meaning a shar that's part of the stadium, like a bullfight, those type of things. So there, if it goes and it kills somebody, it's not chayiv. You're not chayiv. Shenemar ki yigach, when it goes and it gores, v'loisha yigachuhu, and not that somebody gored it. I mean, not gored it. Somebody, how do you call it? Somebody gassed it up is the way I would say it. Right? Somebody's making it meshugah. See, I'm not sure. Does this mean that it's dafka if the shar gores in the stadium, or even if it gores outside of the stadium? All right, I wasn't sure. If it's in the stadium, for sure, it's not a problem. right? Because that's what it's meant to do. But I think from Rashi, is mashma that even if it's not in the stadium, since you train this ox to kill people or to kill other oxen, so mamela, that's considered. You cannot call it a chiyuv on you to watch it. It was trained to do this. Okay, so let's see.
Yaakov, they bring down from Yuki Yosef. We're talking about a case where the shark kills after being riled up. Meaning it's bedafka when it's riled up. It seems like from Yuki Yosef that it's putter.
But that it's dafka when it's riled up, and if it's not riled up, yeah.
Meaning it's a question of whether it should die or not, right? Because if it kills a human, it should die. So
if it kills the rodeo clown,
if it, the matador, whatever they want to call it,
Then, okay, so now I know what Rashi. See, the last Rashi means shemi yuchad lenegicha, so malam denoise lekach.
Right, you're saying what is he adding if it's just a question of right. Putting it in that position.
Correct. Okay, so anyway, so the Gemara first asks a steer in the Mishnah. Because again, the Mishnah said that a shcher shait and katan are potter. Right, if they're shargors like anything else in the Torah, they're potter, so they're going to be potter in this too. And then it says they go appoint an apotropos. An apotropos for what? Right, if they're potter, we need an apotropos for. An apotropos means like a how do you touch an apotropos? A
custodian, guardian,
a custodian, yeah, like a custodian, right? Somebody who's going to, yeah. So let's see the Gemara. So Hagu for Kasha. The mission itself is a Kasha. Amr Shosha Chereshet V'Kan Shenoga Shosha B'Keach Potter. Alma Im Amidan Apotropos L'Sam L'Gvais Megufa. You don't give an apotropos to a tam, some tam to be given from his guf, right? Meaning, we know that tam pays chatzi nezek, and it pays chatzi nezek. It pays from the guf of the animal, right? But we're saying that you're potter, so even if there's a guy in charge of these cheres shayta and katons to make sure that the thing behaves, but the bottom line is, right? Because we said that they're potter. Aim a seifas, then let's look at the seifas. Shoshu cheres shayta v'kansha nogach. If it did gore, bezim amidin lehem apotropos, amidin lehem b'fnei apotropos, and they say edus in front of the apotropos. Alma, meaning you say edus that the shor gored. In order for a shor to get the status of a muad, you need to say edus in front of the owners 3 times that it gored. So this apotropos is going to take the place of the cheres shayta v'katan. But you see, Alma amidin lehem apotropos, the tam l'gvais megufay. So then you do give it to a tam. Right? Because when else are you appointing this apotropos to say edus? You say edus on a short tam, not on a short muad. So Rava says this is how you have to understand the Mishnah. If the shor becomes huchsuk as a nakhan, now exactly what that means, we'll get back to it. It's saying if it seems to show tendencies of nakhanim, so then you put an apotropos, and then they say edus for an apotropos, and then we can make it into a muad. And now, if you go in front of the apotropos and say that the shor gored 3 times, then he's going to have to pay from the aliyah, because that's what happens from a muad. So basically, it seems like, excuse me, seems like there's a third madrega here. There's a shor tam, and there's a shor muad, and then somewhere in the middle is a shor that's starting to show muad tendencies. All right? Sounds like a report where you're reading a report card from a kid. Your kid is showing tendencies not to not behave, right? He's not straight out not behaving. He shows tendencies, right? We're all too familiar with that. So that's what it seems. Because Taisa says you can't say that Huchsuka means that it's 3 times. Right? That can't be. So, anyways, so that's what the Gemara is saying. So basically, again, short time, you don't appoint an apotropos. Once it starts showing, a short time of a shcher shaitin katan. Once it starts showing that it's starting to be a little wild.
So if it's not a move, if it's not 3 times, that means it's 2 times.
I don't even think it means 2. I just think it means to start acting wild.
But what does wild mean? Well, it starts jumping up and down.
He's tackling people in a touch football game, in a flag game. He's tackling people.
Yeah, maybe. Or when it comes time to eat, he's pushing around. I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know. I don't know enough. We don't have rachman.
And that means that it's going to start killing people?
It's showing those tendencies. So then we have to start being careful. That's what it seems.
But Siakov,
yeah.
In the case where the opportunity takes over and it starts to gore, is he at all responsible for that? That they eventually have to pay a nezek shalom from the or do we look at it as it's out of his control? Because how is he supposed to know?
Seems like we look like it's out of his control.
Even when it becomes a muad and he knows that the animal at that point it's not b'ches k'shimur kami. Why he's a shaver at that point? No. He should know that the animals are, if he knows the animal's a muad and the animal then goes ahead and gores, why is that not the responsibility of the apotropos? Is it xera that nobody wants to be an apotropos? So we had the whole shadow of
we have to see. Well, very good.
I'm just saying, like, you should be responsible. It's not b'ches k'shimur at the point where it's muad.
You're right. So we're gonna let's see how the Gemara plays out, because it's not going to say it's not confusing exactly what's going on here, but yeah, but let's see. So anyway, so that's what the Gemara is saying now, that there's muad, then there's muad, there's tam, then there's muad tendencies, whatever that means, right? And then there's muad, right? Fine. So that, now let's put that, we're going to get back to this. Then the Gemara says, okay, Ma'aliyas man. Who do you pay the aliyah from? So we're saying now that they were testified 3 times in front of the apotropos, and now it becomes a muad. So now what happens when it's a muad? So then you have to pay from the best of the person's property, right? When it's a tam, you only pay half nezek. The half nezek comes out from the animal that gored. If the animal that gored died, or was missing, so you won't get anything. Aliyah means, okay, if your animal's not here, then you have to pay cash, right? So Maliyah's man. Whose Aliyah does it come from? It comes from the Aliyah of the Yisaimim, right? Now, why Yisaimim? I don't know why it's referring to Yisaimim. That's the classic case of apotropos, right? But when apotropos takes over, for Yisaimim, let's say in the Yisaimim's animal gores, so who would have to pay? If Yochanan says it comes from the Yisaimim, right? I mean, it comes from their property. No, it comes from the Aliyah of the apotropos. Now, let's see. First, the Gemara asks on Rabbi Yochanan. Do Rabbi Yochanan really say that it comes from the Yisaimim? Apotropos. Actually, no, Bezdin does not get involved with the chasim of Yisaimim, meaning they never take any payment from Yisaimim, unless there's money that's owed from the estate, and the estate is paying interest, and if they don't take this payment from the Yisaimim, it's going to be bad news. That's Rabasi. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, either they're going to take money from the assignment if there's a star that's collecting interest, or if the almana needs to be paid, so you have to pay that too. So what do you see? That you can't take any other money from your assignment except for these 2 things. So how can you say that Rabbi Yochanan said that you're going to take the money for a shar muad from the Yisaimim, if in this brisa clearly he says, not a brisa, but here he says that the only time you take money from the Yisaimim is if it's to pay for the mother or the father's wife's ksuba, or if there's ribbis. So my answer is Epuch. So switch it. Teretz's favorite teretz. Epuch. Rabbi Yochanan or my Elias apotropis. We have tropsin. You paid from the best of the apotropsin. Yes, Chanina or my Elias Yisayim. You take from the best of the Yisayim. So we switch the opinions, and then Rabbi Yochanan makes sense. So then Amar Rava Mishum the Kasha to Rabbi Yochanan, because you had a Kasha from Rabbi Yochanan, Mashris le Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina Toya, you're going to say that Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina has a shita that you would collect from the aliyahs of the Yisayim, which is incorrect. Meaning, just because you have a steer on Rabbi Yochanan, therefore Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina is going to get stuck holding the bag and holding of the opinion that we're not going to hold of. Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina.
Well, why does it matter? And Rabbi Yochanan was not a dayan. I'm saying, how would he make a mistake like that?
Oh, because so it's interesting. There's a few of these type of things on this stuff, right? Well, let's just finish the sentence. But Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina, he was a dayan, and he went down to the depths of the din. Meaning, you're right. Rabbi Yochanan also did, right? But I think the difference is that they had a girsa that Rabbi Yochanan said that you take it from the assignment, to which we had a steer on Rabbi Yochanan, so then we swap it. That's not fair. Meaning, we have something written or said over that Rabbi Yochanan held it from Yisayim. We have a steer on Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, so we'll just say switch it, and now you're going to leave Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina holding the bag. That's not fair, right? Even though Rabbi Yochanan doesn't make sense either, but Rabbi Yochanan, he's the one that had the rumor was said about him, not about Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina. Which is interesting, because why don't they ask this Akiva every time? Every time the Gemara says in April. So what? To the other shita, because you have a steer in one shita, so you want to switch them, so the other one has to suffer.
And beyond whatever the teretz is, you could say the teretz for Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, right? So like in the Gemara in the Maskana, you could have just applied that teretz to Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina.
Which teretz?
Whatever the teretz the Gemara is going to give a teretz to, unless you're going to say there's no reason. Epuch is master from this Gemara. Epuch is the last resort teretz.
Right. Yeah. And a Hanami. So yeah. But anyway, so now Gemara says, don't switch it. Right? Umazik Shani. And mazik is different. Somebody who damages is different. Meaning, normally Rabbi Yochanan says no collecting from Yisrael. But if there's a mazik, then we're going to say that he does. Right? Okay. So now back to the other. Yeah. Sorry. So Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Now, how come they say they're sheetas? Rabbi Yochanan Elias Yisrael. It goes from the Yisrael the Amrit Malias Apotropos, because if you say that it comes from the Apotropos onto the base now, Memani v'lo yavdi. Who is they're gonna? Memani literally means they're gonna stay away. V'lo yavdi. Again, not to become Apotropos, meaning who in the right mind would take a job being an Apotropos for a Cheder Shoitan Cotton's cow or ox, right? Who would ever do that if the ox goes and damages and becomes a muad? Now the apotropos is on the hook for paying for this thing. Why would anybody become an apotropos?
He gets paid every single day.
I guess it's not worth the downside risk. I guess. Right? How do you know? I mean, the guy has a whole farm. All of a sudden they start goring like crazy, and then this guy is left with a big debt. Right?
Yaakov, it's like anything in business. You take a responsibility. You're managing somebody's property. You're managing anything for them, right? So
true.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that what insurance is? You pay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't think anybody would take a management job if he risks losing his job. Fine, but if he risks having to go into bankruptcy because he's responsible for the buildings, for the function of the buildings, and he's going to be the one It has to pay up. You think somebody would take a management job?
We'll have to find your Maisa book from one of the tzaddikim that used to do that,
Yaakov, you have an employee of yours that's liable, that destroys property. It's your responsibility as an employer to take care of it to the client.
Correct. But let's say you can't.
That's what I have insurance for. I have insurance for that
Oh,
purpose.
so what's that? So insurance is a different animal.
No, I think the better case is if you're doing property management and the sewer line breaks, you're not responsible for the sewer line. You send the bill to the owner.
Right.
If you have to be responsible for the sewer line, you wouldn't manage the property.
Right.
But it's not exactly. It's okay. It's similar to that. It's similar to that. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yaakov, didn't we say? Isn't there a svar we said the opposite, that being an apotropos gives chashivas, and Memela people would want? Meaning, can't you say a svar the other way as well? That people
We did have that.
chashivas to being an apotropos.
Taka, we had that, right? That the people wanted to be apotropos because for the good for their resume.
It makes you trustworthy, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, but right, Taka. Who was that? Ksubas?
Probably.
So-
Yeah, we had it over here.
Did we?
Yeah.
So okay, so then maybe, but maybe it's still not worth such a downside risk. Either way, so that's what he's saying, right? Yeah, fine. Now, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina Amar, Mi'aliyas. It's also interesting, Agav. Like, why don't we just say that? Why does anybody have to take responsibility? Why does anybody have to take responsibility? Right? If somebody has the bad luck to his shar to be gored by a chelet shaitan katan, okay, so that's it. You lost out. No, I'm saying that's it. Why does Bezdin feel the responsibility to cover this? Right? So I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works. Fine, but that's why Rabbi Yochanan was saying. It comes from the apotropos, but with a caveat. And when basically apotropos has to lay out the money. He has to lay out the money, right? So because the Yisayim, once they grow older, are going to have to pay back the apotropos. So it comes out that everybody holds that it comes from the assignment. Right? It's just a matter of when it's going to come from the assignment. Right? Rabbi Yochanan says it'll come right away from the assignment. Rabbi Chanina says not. Okay, fine. Then the Mishnah, the Gemara continues, "Mamidin learn apotropos losses latam likvos megufay kanoi." This that there's you put an apotropos for a short time is actually machlokas tanoim. The Tanya Shoshin is bailo. So a shor whose bailam became deaf, bishanishtatu bailam, or they became shaitas, bishahochu bailam v'nasayam, or they traveled to Medina Sayam. And obviously, katan doesn't fit here because a katan can't become a katan, right? That's why we're replacing katan for a guy that traveled overseas. So Yehuda ben Nekusa Omar Sumchas, right? Another thing he says, isn't like a letter missing here. Yehuda ben Nekusa Omar Sumchas. But okay, it's just truth is no. You say Yehuda Omar Rav. Oh, so it does make sense. Okay, I'm mixing it up a little later. But Yehuda ben Nekusa Omar Sumchas Harehu b'Tamusa Ad sheYidu by b'fnei habaylim. It's considered a short time until they say edus in front of the Bible. You give him an apotropin, and they have to say edus in front of the apotropin. Right. So again, the first part of this machlokes is: do we apply an apotropos to the cheresh and the shaita and the guys in Medina Sayam? This pakeach cheresh mishkafa shaita v'higla katan. So now we're back to the katan because here the katan grew up. So again, if they all got better, right? Then Yehuda ben Nekusa Omar Sumchas Chazal Tamusa. It goes back to being a tam Achi Yidu by B'fnei Bailam until they say Eidos in front of the Bailam that it gored 3 times. It stays in its status. So again, this is the machlokes we had in the end of the Mishnah, where if it changes, if the situation changes, does it now require you to pay? Does it not require? Does it make it go back to short time if it was a mood? Okay, so what is the raya here that's a machlokes time? So Amru, my harehu b'tamuz said the Kamma Simchus. When Simchus said that the animal is in its tamusa, what does this mean? If we say that when it's in its tam because it's not a muad, hamdikatani sefer, but the sefer says chazal tamusa, that when the shaita, cheres, shaita, and katan get better, it goes back to being a tam, the cloud the yayin. So then that's mashma that it becomes a muad. That it was a muad. Elamai hareyu b'tamusai. What does it mean that it's in its tam? Hareyu b'tmimusai. Right? That it's in its tmimus, meaning the loy machzarina loy. We didn't lose any money from it. Meaning, yes, it gored 3 times, but the payment comes from the shore that damaged, right? And we say we're not accepting any payments from any of them, right? So meaning even though it gored 3 times, it still has a status of tam, whatever it is. So alma ein mamidin apotropos l'tam l'gres l'gufa. Since we say that it's still in its tamimus status, even though it's gored 3 times, that means we clearly say that an apotropos is not going to collect from the damages. We do appoint an apotropos to collect the chatzi nezek. So basically, the only way to understand this machlokes between Sumchus and the Rabbanon is if we appoint an apotropos to collect the damages. According to the Tanakama, according to Sumchus, we don't appoint an apotropos, and therefore there's no payment. And according to the Chachamim, we do. So you see, it's a machlokes whether we appoint an apotropos for a tam. So okay, so then the seifa of my plukam, again the seifa meaning when they all get better, it goes back as a machlokes whether it goes back to being a tam. What's the machlokes? Rishus mishana. The machlokes is if when it changes rishus, does it change its status? Meaning right now it's a muad because it gored 3 times. Now it goes back to the original owner's rishus, right? So the question is, does it go back to being a tam? Rishus mishana. Rishus changes it and it goes back to being a tam. Rabbi Yosef said Rishus ain't a mishana. Rishus does not change it.
Meaning, there's a whole shiloh. There's a whole shiloh of if muad is the vert that it becomes accustomed to actually doing what it's doing. If you hold this, or is it just something that it always was like that? It's a riot to it. But either way, it has to. If it's a muad, who cares that I would have known about it? It's either way. It's established. This animal's a muad. How does it just change that mitzias?
It doesn't. Well, that's why you have to say that it has to do with the owner being in charge of it.
Who cares? The animal's the muad.
Well, that's the question. That's a machlokes whether muad goes with the animal or it goes with. The
fact that you know about it. What's the question here? No,
the maybe it's going to have a different reaction to a different owner.
It's a Matthias question of if it changes rishus, will the animal change with it, Matthias, and revert back to its Tom, more gentle state?
I would think of it as a nursing home. That loses money, the next guy thinks he's going to make more money with it. No.
Well, you know the real answer over there. It's
okay,
not true.
But you know what? You give it a shot, and you hope that that's what happens, and that's what all that same thing here. No.
I know, but the animal, knows. I guess it knows that the owner changed, but the animal's mitzias would change. That's what we're saying.
It seems. I don't know if it's the mitzias.
It's the owner watching the.
Yeah, I'm saying if the owner's a calmer guy, the animal's going to be calmer. If the owner's a high strung guy, the animal's going to be high strung.
It's also
hard to understand.
It's also how he restricts it, when he lets it out, when he doesn't let it out, where he lets it go, where he doesn't let it go. A new owner will watch it differently.
Right. Right.
That's fine. But the animal still is used to goring. Like it's not like that's changed.
That's not, yeah, but the question is, take a katan, for example. A katan is putter until he grows up, and then he's chayiv. What's the difference? Nothing changes in the animal. The reason is that a katan doesn't have the ability to watch the animal when a person does. So the status changes of the animal when it changes ownership.
If the katan knows from the apotropos that the animal's a muad, shouldn't he have to watch it?
Yeah, that's true. But okay, we have to say it's going to be more on tomorrow's daf. I think it's going to be clear in tomorrow's daf, so we could find it out tomorrow. Right, it's tomorrow's daf. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow's daf. I hope so. I don't think it's only on this daf. I think the Iker is tomorrow. Does it say weiter that it's? Where is it? Yeah, tomorrow's daf. Memo base. Yeah. Anyways, so that's fine. So now Toner Rabbanan. Now fasten your seatbelts for this one here. Toner Rabbanan. Shor Cheir Shoyt V'Katan Shenogach. First, this interchange right here in the Gemara is quite fascinating. I found it fascinating. Shor Cheir Shoyt V'Katan at Gord. Rabbi Yaakov Mishalim Chatzin Nezer. Rabbi Yaakov pays Chatzin Nezer. Right? So Gemara says Rabbi Yaakov Maya Vidite. What is Rabbi Yaakov? Why is Rabbi Yaakov paying? It wasn't his shor. He says you have to pay Chatzin Nezek. Can anybody here explain to me the Havamim of the Gemara? I mean, I'm not such a bright fellow, and I could have told you that that's what the Gemara meant when it said Rabbi Yaakov. Didn't mean that that doesn't mean that Rabbi Yaakov should pay for this shor. I mean, Rabbi Yaakov said that it should pay for this shor, right? I don't know. Sometimes the Gemara, maybe Naftali in your Hakdama thing to the Shas has episode when the Gemara does. Every once in a while.
The Tolna Rebbe said on this line, he says, Rabbi Yaakov Mishalim Chatzin Nezek. He says he was so into the Gemara, it's as if he was doing it. He explained it so well that he was living it.
Haka?
Yeah.
What's the episode that you heard this from Tolna Rebbe? Stop.
I heard it in one of the drushes.
I'm saying on this daf.
He was saying how the Gemara should be so clear that you should be living it. You should be able to visualize it totally.
And he brought this Gemara as a riot.
Yeah.
Wow, and you remember that? That's pretty good. Wow, that's interesting. So
Bottom of the article says to see a goy's yavitz. A goy's yavitz.
That's in the back.
Yeah.
So what does it say?
Check it out.
It doesn't. It just says that it gives validity to the Bryce's initial version.
So what are you telling us this for?
So check it out. You have a regular shots. I grata don't have
it. I don't have my regular. I have my article. I have it. I want to go, but I have to. You gave me homework already. I have to check the stuff from this morning. I have to find out what, and I have my homework tonight.
I can't imagine this is in there, but okay. I like Reb Doiv's shot over here from Tolna Rebbe. He lived it. So.
I'm just repeating.
Very good. No, I'm saying you shot from Tolna Rebbe is interesting. But either way, in the pasha of reading,
you will not be tarpus on the vart. Okay.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be no damage from it.
I was going to say, I don't want to take responsibility.
You could be, don't worry. I don't want to say that, don't worry, it's Cheir Shoyt V'Katan. No, but that's okay, that's good. But either way, just start the understanding of the Pashup shot here. Rabbi Yaakov Maya Vidite. Rabbi Yaakov Oimer Masham. Okay. Either way, but the point is that Rabbi Yaakov said that a Cheir Shoyt V'Katan and that the shore of a Cheir Shoyt V'Katan gourd, you pay Chatzin Nezek. Right? So now what exactly is the case? Right? What's the case here? Right? Oh, shit. Yeah, Ibatam. If we say that it's talking about a tam, right? So then Pshita, the Kuliyama Chatzin Nezek, right? If it's a tam, then it's Pasha that it's Chatzin Nezek. Right? Why shouldn't it be? Again, Ibatam, Pshita, the Kuliyama Nami Chatzin Nezek. Everybody's pays. Cheir Shoyt V'Katan, right? Any normal person, they all pay Chatzin. And if we're talking about a muad, if he did a good shmira, He doesn't have to pay. We haven't really touched on this yet. It's coming up. Where is it? I think Nun Hey. Right, that if you did a proper shmira on a shor muad, then you're not responsible for it. And if he didn't do a good shmira, then he has to pay the full damage, not chatzi. Right? Meaning, again, if it's a tam, it can't be because everybody pays chatzi nezik. So why are you saying cheres shaitan kotan? If it's all about a muad, so if you watch it correctly, you're potter, and if you didn't watch it correctly, you're chayiv and everything. So what would be chatzi? So Rava said. And by the way, we're also going to have to get back to that whole thing. What a shmira pechutz is and what a shmira mul is. What's a proper shmira? What's not a proper shmira? Anyway, so Amar Rava lo'olam b'muad. We're really talking about a muad. Okay, so then why are you paying half? The Gemara right now is going to go through 3 different shitas, and Rabbi Yaakov holds he's going with 3 different opinions in 3 different machloksim, and that's why he says his shita. Okay, the Amdi Shmira Pechusa, where he did a lousy shmira, meaning it was a shmira, just not top of the line. But he didn't do a shmira ma'ula. Rabbi Yaakov saw Rabbi Yehuda, and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. So Amar. Sad Thomas b'Makayim Medes. We had this a while ago. The sad of the short time stayed where it is. Meaning, once your high is something, because it was a short time, then it stays in its place. Meaning, it will never be removed from there. We'll get back to that in a minute. So that's one thing that he holds. That's a machlokes, and he holds that again. The tzad, even though a shor becomes a muad, right? But it's tam part of it, the chumrah of the tam part of it never leaves it. That's one. Then v'savilak Rabbi Yehuda damar muad sagile b'shmir pchusa, and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, who says a muad just needs the minimal amount of shmira in order to stop him from having to pay nezek shamim. And then the third is v'savilak Rabbanan the amri mamid and apotropos. The tam ligvas migufa. We're maimed an apotropos for a tam to collect from its guf. Right. So because of all these 3, so memela, he only has to pay chatzi nezek. Again, why does he have to pay chatzi nezek? Because the first thing is that the tzad tomos is in its place. Right. Meaning, when you have to pay muad nezek shalom, half of that payment is considered from a short tam. Now, a short tam has to pay even if there was no shmira at all. You have to pay chatzi, so that stays in its place. But he also did a shmira pechusa, which is enough for a muad, not enough for a tam. So on that he holds a Rabbi Yehuda that he's potter from the full payment because he did a shmira, but he has to still pay the half payment, which doesn't move, right? And then if thirdly he holds like the Rabbanan who say that even though there's a cheres shaitan katan, but we appoint an apotropos in order to make him potter, right? I'm sorry, not to make him potter, make him chayiv in the chatzi nezek. Yeah. So then, okay, so that's basically why Rabbi Yaakov says chatzi nezek. So Amalei Abaya, so Abaya said again, this is Rava talking now. Abaya is asking Kash on Rava, the light pligi, and Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yehuda don't disagree, right? But Tanya shor cheres shaitan b'katan shenogach. If you have a shor of a cheres shaitan katan who gored, Rabbi Yehuda mechayev. Rabbi Yehuda says he's chayev. Rabbi Yaakov amar chatzi nezek hu d'mishalim. He pays chatzi nezek, right? So you see, Rabbi Yehuda holds that he does have to pay. So how do you say that Rabbi Yaakov goes like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rabbi Yehuda holds you pay full, and Rabbi Yaakov holds you only pay chatzi. And this is talking about a muad. So Rabbi Yehuda pirish Rabbi Yaakov. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi Yaakov is explaining why what Rabbi Yehuda meant when he said pay. Right? Meaning Rabbi Yehuda said if a cheres shaitan katan gor muad, you have to pay. Rabbi Yaakov is coming to say what Rabbi Yehuda meant is you have to pay half damages, not full damages. Again, because of the three opinions that he goes with. Fine. That's the way Rav is going to answer. Well, Abaye don't want to pligi with my pligi. According to Abaye, who says that it's a real machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yaakov as to whether a shor of a shcheir shait and katan is a muad gores, but my pligi if they chayav nezek shalom, what's the machlokes? We're talking about a muad, and there was no watching of it whatsoever. Right? So okay, so then we have to figure out there was no watching whatsoever. So why is he only paying chatzi nezek according to Rabbi Yaakov? Rabbi Yaakov savalak Rabbi Yehuda b'chada, u'palagaleh b'chada. He agrees with Rabbi Yehuda in one, and he disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda in another. Savalak Rabbi Yehuda b'chada, Rabbi Yehuda savar tzad tamas v'mekayim emedes. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda, who says that tzad tamas stays in its place, meaning if it would be a short tam, or when it was a short tam, because you can't become a muad unless you went through tam, so you had to pay half the damages. So that stays in its place, meaning you don't lose that, and Mameli has to pay because of the damage that was done on its top. Rabbi Yehuda holds that you take money from an apotropos. Not from an apotropos. You have an apotropos represent in order to take payment. We don't appoint. And we don't pay only half of the muad. Right? So so therefore that's why he says chatzi, right? So why is he paying chatzi? Because he's paying the chatzi because of the tam part, like we said before. Fine. Some of the Rav Acha bar Abaye Ravina. So Rav Acha bar Abaye said to Ravina, Bishlam Abaye Damar Pligi Shaper. If according to Abaye who says there's a machlokes Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi Yehuda, it works. So why do you have to say the case is talking about a muad? Why don't we say that the machlokes is by a tam? I'll tell it now. Either Rabbi Yehuda, right? So if it's going toward Rabbi Yehuda, who says you need a shmira ma'ula, David le shmira pechusa, and it's talking about where he did a lousy shmira, but loy avid le shmira ma'ula, and he didn't do a shmira ma'ula. And either Rabbi Lazar Yaakov, the loy avid le shmira klal, and it's talking about where he didn't do a shmira at all. Right? Meaning, why can't you go with those shitas, and then that's why he has to pay chatzi nezek. The Tanya Rabbi Lazar Yaakov, echad tav echad muad sheshamar and shmira pechusa peturin. Whether it's a tam or whether it's a muad, they do a shmira pechusa, it's potter. So then mamela what? V'hakamash Rav Yaakov the mamidin len b'apotropos l'tam ligvos migufay, and Rabbi Yaakov is coming to tell us that we do appoint an apotropos that has to pay half, right? So meaning the chiddush is not that it has to pay half or whole. The whole chiddush is that you appoint an apotropos, right? Meaning, so why do you have to come on to muad? Say it's on about tam. Right? Basically, he's saying that it's one shita, but it has two reasons. Right? That a muad that's owned by a cheres shaita katan, right, pays chatzi nezek. Right? That's the chiddush that he's saying. Right? So the first shot is because it needs a shmir pchusa, and the tam is become the mekayim it stays in its place, and the other one is we have an apotropos. Yeah. Okay. Ravina says Rishus Meshana Ike Benaya. Right, this we had before, but we're gonna see it again. Whether Rishus changes and the muad back to a tam is the difference between them. We're going to have a muad. Come on, whereas a sharmud mismakeach a cheresh, and the cheresh got better. Finished off a shaita, and the shaita became better. The higdal katan, and the katan grew up. It says it's in its chazaka, and it was a muad before, it's a muad now. Yaakov Sava Rishus Mishana. Yaakov holds it goes once they become better, so they go back to they change Rishuyah, so therefore it goes back to being a tam. And Mamela, since it went back into the cheresh and shaitas Rishus after they got better, so Mamela now it is back to a short time, and that's why it has to pay chatzi nezek. Okay, we'll stop over here. This last part was a little difficult. Let's say some.